Images and Voices of Hope is a global dialogue with the media and a foundation that's been unfolding all over the world since 1999. We've got conversations that have started in over 50 cities. So Images and Voices of Hope works with a question. What does it look like when media are agents of world benefit?
Well, this is the story that comes at the end of the news on Friday nights. So I make no apologies about the fact that I focus in on the good in people.
You guys are on your way to Camden, South Carolina.
My stories are all chosen completely at random, but I worry sometimes that you won't believe me. Here, especially when they turn out
Suzanne Lee.
Too good to be true.
They call me Miss Lee, they call me Mama Lee, they call me Susie Lee.
And for a while, I thought we were just getting lucky, that you couldn't really throw a dart at a map and pick somebody at random out of the phone book and find something in their life that other people could relate to, or even more importantly, learn something from. So that's kind of what I think my job is, to do something positive and affirming.
If you've seen pictures of oceans of cell phones and aluminum cans and so on, that's what I do. It's a commentary on our mass culture. I can stitch pictures together in Photoshop. I can make an image of the actual number of phones that we throw away in the United States every day. This is 426,000 phones, which is 1 day of our cell phone consumption. The only information that we have to relate to this profoundly important phenomenon in our culture is this gigantic number that is so big that it's beyond the ability of our mind to comprehend it. And that's really the motivation behind this work.
So the way that Images and Voices of Hope moves is someone in some city in the world will contact us and say, I want to convene our media community to look at these issues of what it is in media that might benefit our community or our country. We support them in that, and then once they're going as a conversation, we link them together via our website, via our international summit with each other, so that what was just a local conversation becomes part of a global conversation. It is a globally linked organization, but every conversation is local. So the conversation in Moscow sounded nothing like the conversation in Kuala Lumpur. And the conversation we're about to have in Johannesburg won't sound anything like the conversations we've been running in Rio or Miami. Every conversation is local, it has to do with local issues and what the people in that media community care about.
Soy periodista, soy presentadora de noticias en Mar del Plata, en Buenos Aires, Argentina.
I was a former journalist in Vietnam, and after escape from the war in Vietnam, I broke the pen and now I hold the brush.
This is not an organization that struggles. It attracts extraordinary talent and people at the top levels of journalism and filmmaking and print and art and advertising.
I'm a reporter for Marketplace, the public radio show. I cover Latin America.
I'm Julika. I live in Cape Town, and I'm a filmmaker, documentary filmmaker.
I'm an investigative reporter in Chicago at WMAQ-TV, which is owned by NBC.
I'm a producer for a PBS station in Miami, WLRN.
I spent about 25 years as a broadcast journalist working for CNBC, WABC in New York, WNBC in New York.
I live in Dallas, and I am the investigative projects editor at the Dallas Morning News.
I'm an editorial writer for the New York Times. Journalists I know most of them want so desperately to give a voice to the voiceless and to hear those stories and to right the wrongs.
But I'm standing there with a tape in my hand and I'm thinking, well, there's a war going on. The American people have not seen this. This is something that could be very useful for the American public to see and know about. There was nobody who was going to touch this film during the war, and it never got seen in the United States. Bill Moyers put it on a year later in one of his hand-wringing programs about how the American press had not done as good a job as it could have done during the first Gulf War.
And that's who we are. And the great thing about coming to a place like this is that you realize that you're not alone.
I've been a volunteer for Images and Voices of Hope for the last 8 years, and although I'm involved with many, many journalism organizations, and all of that comes from the head, my heart is in Images and Voices of Hope. It connects me with my colleagues in a different way and connects me with why I became a journalist in the first place.
It takes a real power and a real strength to do what needs to be done. And that power has got to come from somewhere. That strength has got to come from somewhere. So you can come to a place like this and get really rejuvenated because I think we're all passionate. We got in the business to really, most of us, change the world, to help change the world, to help people. And it's a very challenging time. It always has been a very challenging thing to do.
So we welcome your contributions as a writer, as a thinking partner, or your financial contributions to join this expanding network of media as an agent to world benefit.
If all souls were brought here to care, why are there so many crying? If all souls were brought here to love, why so much needless dying? The earth is one country, and mankind its citizens. Let us raise a flag of our one human nation. Bury the hate and water the love. It's time to bring in the world.
And Images and Voices of Hope is a place where we can build a culture of media professionals. What works is celebrating all the millions of people who are doing extraordinary things to make this planet a place we can live on and a place that can be healthy for our children.
Help us to bring in the